is the son of the late Hampton and Mary Reynolds, a graduate of Caverna High School, class of 1987, a member of Cave City Baptist Church, and a graduate of Western Kentucky University, class of 1991. So I don't remember a time in my life when I wasn't friends with Nelson Reynolds. We went to Bible school, Sunday school, elementary school, junior high, high school, and college together. We remain friends to this day, although we do not get to see enough of each other. I can't remember how it started exactly, but I think around my junior year of high school, Nelson started calling me Cool Leslie, and I started calling him Cool Nelson. In fact, when I went to contact him about being inducted into the Hall of Fame, that's how he's listed in my phone, as Cool Nelson. So I started thinking about what it exactly means to be cool. Here are a few of the characteristics that I've found, all of which apply to Nelson, none of which apply to myself. Cool is marked by steady calmness and self-control. Cool is socially well-adjusted, friendly, and fun to be around. Cool is excellent. It is first-rate. And finally, coolness is a positive trait showing that a person is not constrained by the norms, expectations, or beliefs of others. So, is Nelson Reynolds truly cool? I can tell you personally that he is one of the kindest, most responsible, and thoughtful people I've ever known. But along with that, he's still incredibly fun to be around. Along with all those things, Nelson Reynolds is also one of the most determined individuals you'll ever meet. When Nelson is faced with any kind of setback, he keeps going, and he does so with a smile. Because of that determination, focus, and positive attitude, he has reached heights that most of us only dream of. During college, Nelson participated in ROTC, and following his graduation, he was commissioned as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force in 1991. He went on to become a command pilot and an A-10 aircraft commander, multi-ship flight lead, narrator. Nelson first furthered his career in the United States Air Force as a member of the 9th Air Force A-10 demo team, AT-38 evaluator, a U.S. Civil Service simulator instructor. All of your titles are very difficult to say. Air Force Reserve technician, and an instructor pilot. Further honors include his being named as Squadron Executive Officer and being honored as the Company Grade Officer of the Quarter, Field Grade Officer of the Year for 2 years. Reynolds is also a member of the Mission Aviation Fellowship, Compassion International, and Orphans Embrace. Recently, in April 2019, he was selected to fly in the prestigious Kentucky Derby's Thunder over Louisville event. Over all these achievements, Nelson is cool because he always put his family first. He was a devoted son to his mom and dad. He comes home to Kentucky regularly to visit with his beloved brother John, and his wife Stacy and their children Madigan, Emma, and Ryan are his entire world. So it is my honor and privilege to welcome my dear, very cool friend to the Cave City Hall of Fame, Lieutenant Nelson Reynolds.
Yes, that was a term coined back in the cool class of 1987. Obviously, a hard act to follow up on that as well. I'll keep this kind of short tonight because obviously it's getting late. Obviously the young ones here, I'm sure parents are probably ready to go on and put them to bed. First of all, I'm going to start off with I cannot confirm or deny if there was a high-speed jet aircraft that might have flown over Cave City today or Caverna High School, but yes, that happened. So I will say that was me, so I will admit to that as far as that. And yes, I take great pride in that to fly over. First of all, I want to say tonight, rest well, folks. Your Air Force and your military protects you. Rest well. There's nothing you need to worry about tonight. We have a Lord's grace. Again, tonight I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Cave City. You've been good to me all these years. Although I've not lived here, I still serve. 28 years of service now. 10 to go. That's what I always tell everybody. So I'm shooting for the end of the finish line out there, and I hope to be able to fly those all the way to the finish line as far as that. So thank you, Cave City, for the support as far as that. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce, the committees, and everything for this time. This is a very incredible moment for me to be along with people like you, people that have made impacts. We'll get to that in a moment. It's a very big honor to be obviously selected with family members as well. We know family is everything. To be with my uncle, Ron Reynolds, and obviously my father, Hampton Reynolds. I think he would have enjoyed seeing my flyby today as well. Tonight we've talked about impact. It seems to be a kind of a recurring theme tonight as far as what everybody has done. From all the way from getting Caverna started, getting telephones started. Impact is what we need to do, all of us. And what you do daily is an impact to someone out there. Obviously for me, not living here, but my impacts, whether it's from just hanging out with a second grader that doesn't know how to read, going on one of these mission trips to hang out with the Buffalo Creek Boys Home. These are gentlemen, these are young men that don't have fathers, to spend a week with them, to build a basketball goal with them, to go and do another mission trip, and to go offer to build a mile of fence line. Be careful what you volunteer for out there in life. So those are all impacts. It's what you do. So I'll close with two impacts that I had in life that really still stand out in my career, probably always will, as far as that. So obviously as an A-10 pilot at Moody Air Force Base, the 70th Fighter Squadron, the A-10 has the ability to go into some of those smaller runways. Unlike our F-15, F-16 brethren, they need the bigger runways as far as that. So the A-10 was that capability to go into Douglas, Georgia. So many people are probably thinking, where is Douglas, Georgia? I had to go look that up, and it's just a couple miles up the road, so even I had to go look that one up. So the first year we go up there to Douglas, Georgia to provide support for their air show. And obviously for us, all we ask for is just a hotel room and a vehicle as far as that. So the first year I go up, part of a two-ship platform to be support for their air show. Well, the next year, obviously we can't support a two-ship presentation, but they asked for volunteers to go back to Douglas. And I thought, oh yeah, I remember those guys. They were really good to us. I volunteered. So I volunteered to go back to Douglas because again, they were good folks, and I remember those kind of things in life. So I land, I do like I did today, just kind of quick fly over the area as far as that land, knowing the next day I'm by myself. I'm going to stand out here from 7 a.m. all the way to probably 10 o'clock at night, all that time to support the air show. And as the morning comes, and here comes the people, they're coming in to the air show, this one young man comes up to me. I remember his face. I don't remember his name, but he came up to me and goes, I don't know if you remember me, but you talked to me about how to become an Air Force pilot. Well, I'm leaving for officer training school in 2 months, and then I have a follow-on. I'm going to Columbus Air Force Base, Mississippi, for my pilot training. Subsequently, I had the chance to, once I left the A-10 to go to be my first job as a T-38 instructor pilot, I actually got to watch him walk across the line. He's now a C-17 pilot in your Air Force. Impacts. Shortly thereafter, it's probably mid-morning or so, lots of people at this air show. And then I noticed this father-son that came up. Unfortunately, the son was the one that was in the wheelchair. And I noticed as I'm talking to people and such, he's pointing to various parts of my aircraft, and then obviously I'm going to kind of lean a little bit closer to him. It comes to be like, Dad, hey, there's the Maverick missile. Hey, there's this pod. Hey, he's got the gun. Okay, this guy knows a little bit about my airplane here, so I better be tight here. Here we go. And he starts talking. I never really asked what happened, what condition you have. But he made an impact to me because he made a comment to his father, wow, Dad, it would be so awesome to sit in the cockpit of an A-10 fighter jet. And his dad's like, well, son, that's not going to happen, so let's don't bother the captain right now. That's okay. And I looked, I said, hold that thought, sir. So I went on over to the A-10. For some of you people, the A-10, actually, the steps into the aircraft is about 10 feet. So it's kind of way, it sits up there as far as that. It's a big airplane as far as that. I went up to get the aircraft. I fired up what's called the auxiliary power unit, the APU. So that fires up, gives enough power so I can power on the avionics, the weapon systems. It's pretty loud. So people are looking at me like, what is the captain doing today? I climbed back down the steps of the ladder, and I went over to that gentleman. I said, sir, I'm going to take your son for a few minutes. And I picked that young man up. He's probably junior high or so, 7th grade, something about that age. And I put him over my shoulder. And I went over to my airplane. I started climbing up the ladder, and I placed him in the cockpit of the A-10. And I said, welcome to the A-10, the Warthog. And I got to show him, here's how some of my avionics, these are some of my weapons delivery, here's some of the missiles, here's how we call this, here's some of the navigation devices, the communication devices. Here's all these things. And you talk about a smile on his face. And then it was time to be complete. And then I decided to go on, turn off the APU. There's several hundred people around watching this event. And I picked him up, put him back on my shoulder, and I climbed back down the steps again. And I gently put him in the wheelchair and gave him back to his father. And I said, thank you very much for your son. The neat thing about that was, well, here comes my wing commander. I'm like, oh, great. He's a 1-star general. So this is either really going to go well or it's really, really going to go bad. Let's just see. I took a civilian, climbed up and put the civilian, oh, by the way, it is a paralyzed young boy, climbed up wow, this can probably just not go well. I can't wait to hear this. But yet, General L.D. Johnston came over to me and he said, well done, Rap. Rap is my nickname for Rap Reynolds, Reynolds Rap. Well done. Well done, Rap. And then he went back to his entourage, his VIP entourage. So that's called impact. That young man made an impact into me. Obviously, the world's not perfect. We're not perfect. Obviously made perfect by this time of the year. Thank you for the cross. But you can make an impact, each and every one of us. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but be ready for that impact. Tonight, I walked in here and met a young man. It's Mr. LeBron Hamilton. Are you still here? Stand up for us. LeBron puts his hand out to me and says, hi, I'm LeBron Hamilton. And that's kind of one thing I try to do is I try to remember names. I'm going to try to maybe see you back here a few years down the road. I'll try to remember your name then as far as that. You made an impact. Okay, LeBron's a freshman. Likes sports. He likes math and sciences. And he wants to get into some type of medical related field such as maybe physical therapy, sports medicine such as that. You are the future. You will make an impact. You will be the representation of Cave City. You will pick that flag up long after I'm gone. It'll be you that make that impact. So I challenge you, LeBron, continue on. You dream big. Do not stop. When you have a snafu, my freshman year, or I should say, I'm 3 weeks away from graduating college after the first Gulf War. They stopped pilot training. I was 3 weeks away from graduation. They said, you're not going to go be an Air Force pilot. And I said, stand by. And I sat and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And finally that showed up. You have a seat now. It's all right. It's all good. You guys stay for it. And I waited. Patience. Okay? Day in, day out. Impacts. That's what we have done. I've had 28 years of making sure that one thing somebody, if you ask somebody at Shepherd Air Force Base, hey, you know this guy Nelson Reynolds? What would you think about him? And they would always say, he always has a smile on his face. And that's the one thing I like to say about myself. If I were to pass on, for whatever reason tonight, that I had made an impact on someone out there as far as that. Folks, tonight, first of all, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for this honor. I very much am very touched. Thank you again. Thank you to my cuz up here for all you do as far as that. The rest of my family, are they still back there? They are. Hello again to my other family members. And again, cool Leslie. Love you. Thank you very much.